The chipped ceramic mug warmed my hands, but the coffee inside did nothing to thaw the ice that had settled in my chest. Rain lashed against the kitchen window, a dismal soundtrack to the unraveling of my world. Across the table, Sarah stirred her own coffee. Her lips curved in that infuriatingly smug smile that had become her default setting these past few months. "Still moping, Liam?" she asked, her voice dripping with a condescension that made my teeth grind. "Honestly, it's a bit pathetic. I thought you'd have moved on by now." Moved on? Moved on from what, exactly? From the woman I'd poured my heart and soul into for 8 years? From the woman I'd sacrificed countless late nights at the office for, so she could pursue her passion of opening her online vintage clothing store? From the woman who had, in the most callous way possible, systematically betrayed me? The affair hadn't been a hidden secret, not anymore. I'd found the messages on her phone, saccharine sweet nothings exchanged with a man named Jake, a name that now tasted like bile on my tongue. Confrontation had been a car crash in slow motion. Denial, then tears, then a half-hearted apology, and finally, this cold, calculating indifference. "I'm just tired," I mumbled, avoiding her gaze. It was a lie, of course. I was tired, yes, but I was also consumed by a roiling mix of rage and hurt. Every touch, every shared joke, every late-night conversation that had once been the bedrock of our relationship now felt tainted. A cruel mockery of what had once been. She scoffed, leaning back in her chair, her posture radiating an almost palpable arrogance. "You're so predictable, Liam. Honestly, you're just a simp. You put up with anything. I bet Jake would laugh if he saw you now." The word hit me like a physical blow. Simp. A weak, pathetic doormat, happy to be trampled on. That's how she saw me. That's how she had always seen me, I realized, with a sickening lurch. All the sacrifices I made, the efforts to make her happy, she had just seen as weakness, as fuel for her ego. The hurt gave way to a chilling clarity. "Is that right, Sarah?" I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. It wasn't the calm of peace, but the stillness before a storm. She raised an eyebrow, a flicker of unease momentarily crossing her face. "Don't tell me you're going to cry now. I thought you were too much of a man for that, or not man enough as it may be." I simply looked at her, a slight smile playing on my lips. "No tears. I've been doing some thinking, actually." I pushed my chair back and stood, the scraping sound loud in the quiet kitchen. "I've come to a few conclusions." Suspicion replacing her smugness. "What are you talking about?" I ignored her question, instead walking to the living room and retrieving a small, well-worn box from the bookshelf. It contained all of our important documents: marriage certificate, insurance papers, joint bank account details, everything that legally bound us together. It also contained a little something else. I returned to the kitchen, setting the box on the table in front of her. Sarah's eyes widened as she recognized the box, a flicker of panic now dancing in their depths. "What is this? Why do you have that?" "I've been a bit foolish," I said, my tone measured. "Allowing you to make me feel like this. Putting up with it. You called me a simp, right? You're half right." I opened the box and pulled out the first item, a thick, legal-looking document. I've been doing my research, and it turns out being a simp also means being financially vulnerable. So, I decided to make some changes. She looked from the document to me, her brow furrowed. "What are you talking about, Liam?" she asked, her voice now laced with a nervous tremor. "This," I said, holding up the document, "is the transfer paperwork for our joint account. You'll notice," I tapped the paper with my finger, "that I've moved all the funds into a new account, solely under my name. Don't worry, I've left a sufficient amount for rent until you find somewhere else, where you can always go back to Jake." Her face paled. "You can't do that! We're married!" "Where?" I corrected, pulling out another document, the divorce papers, freshly signed and stamped. "I've been doing my research on that too, and given the evidence, this should be a pretty straightforward case, I imagine. Adultery is still grounds for divorce, you know." Her breath hitched. "Liam, you wouldn't." "Oh, but I would," I said, enjoying the sight of her smug mask finally shattering. "I spent 8 years of my life being predictable, making sacrifices for you, making you laugh, for us. You saw that as weakness, but it was loyalty, Sarah. You mistake me, because my loyalty was not weakness. You mistake kindness for stupidity." I pulled out a USB drive and placed it beside the divorce papers. "And this," I believe you will find very interesting. Remember all those passionate videos you made with Jake? Well, turns out, your phone automatically backs up to the cloud and, well, I know your passwords." Quote. Her face had gone ashen. "You wouldn't," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Wouldn't I?" I asked, raising my eyebrows. "I thought I was too much of a simp, too weak to do anything." I reached into the box one last time and pulled out the final piece of paper, a copy of the lease agreement for our apartment. "And one more thing. I have already spoke to the landlord and have agreed to renew the lease under my name only. So pack your things, you're going to have to find somewhere else to live." "You can't be serious," she stammered, her voice thick with panic. "You can't take everything from me." "Oh, but I can," I said, the smile on my face now genuine. "You thought you could walk all over me, Sarah, mock me, and I'd just take it? You were wrong, Ende. I was a fool to try and build something with someone who cared so little for it. The truth is, your smug smile is very annoying, so I'm glad I got to remove it. You want to play games, you're not going to like it when I play back." I stood and walked towards the door, leaving her speechless, pale, and scrambling to regain control she had so confidently believed she held over me. As I stepped out into the rain, a strange sense of calm washed over me. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was something close. It was the quiet satisfaction of finally being free. The weight on my chest was gone, replaced by a strange lightness, a sense of possibility. The rain no longer felt like a depressing soundtrack, but the sound of a fresh start. The storm was over, and I, at last, was finally moving on. I closed the door behind me, listening to her cries, not feeling a single shred of remorse.